Hey everyone, so today I'm going to do kind of a regular annual task for me, and that is going around and refreshing all of my perennial plants that I have here in my container garden. So I've been doing this method, I'd say for, 3 years now? Because we first came here in 2020, so this will be kind of the third year of refreshing my plants, and I haven't killed them doing this, and they seem to come back every year and thrive. So that is my plan. I'll show you what I've been doing. I always like to do this after I can tell that my perennials survived winter or not, so that I'm not wasting any of my materials on plants that are dead and I'm going to have to pull. So for example, I know that rose is still dead, so I will not be refreshing it because I'm going to pull it. I think I'm going to plant an evergreen in there out on the back deck. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I am going to go through and refresh my plants like my raspberries, my rhubarb, my aronia berry, and my blueberries, but I've already done something with them that I didn't film, and that was my mistake, but I'll talk a little bit about what I've done. Also, the products that I'm using, I don't think you have to use the exact same products. In fact, I kind of switch up what I do every year with the brands, and essentially all I'm adding to these is compost and some sort of granular plant food. So for my blueberries, what I've already done this year is add some soil acidifier. So this one I do add every year. I'm trying to remember if I add it throughout the year. I have another liquid acidifier that I'll use if I think it needs a little more acidity added to it throughout the year. So this one here, it does have instructions on it for potted plants, which is obviously what I follow. So for the soil acidifier, it's 1 tablespoon for each 4 inches of pot diameter. Those are about 16 inches, so I do just 4 tablespoons around the edge of the pot. If you are adding this to plants that aren't in pots, they're in the ground, it usually recommends adding it to the drip line, which is where kind of the branches end. Since a lot of my branches go over the end of the container, I just add it to right around the container itself. So for the non-blueberry plants, the ones that don't necessarily like acidic soil, I'm just going to use plant tone. This is kind of the most general all-purpose plant food that I have. So this is the one I use. I'm also running a bit low. Because I only use a few tablespoons though per plant, this should get me through kind of this round of refresh, and then I will get some more of this because I also do use it throughout the season when I'm just planting things. So I'll use either the biotone or plant tone, but I always like having this on hand because this is the one that can kind of just do whatever to any plant. So there are also instructions here for potted plants, and there's also new versus established plants. These are all going to be established. So for here, it is 1 teaspoon of plant tone for every 3 inches of pot diameter. So this I think is 16. The other one is 18. So I'll do somewhere between like 5 to 6 teaspoons, again, around the edges. Then what I do is I add in, and this might be too heavy for me to lift, but I just add in an inch, maybe even just like a ½ inch to these pots of compost. So this is the mushroom compost that I got from River Valley Ranch, which again, we passed by on the way home from Lake Geneva. We'd never stopped there before. It's mushroom compost. I've never tried mushroom compost before, but like I've said, I switch up compost I use. I pretty much just grab whatever is available at the garden centers. So as long as this doesn't kill any of my plants, I think it's a good option for composting. In the past, I've used like chicken manure, cow manure compost. Every compost I've used has worked really well. So that is going to be the plan. I'll show you first kind of up close with this raspberry behind me. Obviously, this is the one that I cut all the way back to the ground when I pruned it. We'll do the plant tone and compost in there. My 2 blueberries will just do the compost since I already added the acidifier, and then we'll hit the other plants kind of around this front deck. There's nothing on the back deck yet that I need to add this to. The only perennial that I didn't just plant this year was my raspberry bush, my second of my 2 raspberry bushes, which I did move back up to this front deck to keep it by the other one. I still might move some things back and forth. We'll see. I'm in the whole still setting up the garden phase, trying to figure out where I want things for this year. So let me take you in a bit closer and I will show you how I refresh my raspberry. So I'm going to add the plant tone first. I like to do this first because that way it's kind of closest to the roots and can work its way down, and then I'll add the compost on top. The compost takes a little bit longer to break down. So for me, that kind of layering works. I do also do a refresh on my raised bed, which is similar, but I will show you that when I get the cool crops out and prep the beds for my summer annuals. So let's go ahead, and this pot again is, I think, 16 inches. And what was it? 1 teaspoon for every 3 inches of pot diameter. So I'll do just about 5 teaspoons. I just eyeball this with my hands. If anything, I tend to err like underestimating than overestimating, because I can always add more, but I can't take more away. So I'll just kind of sprinkle, and again, I'm going around the edge here of the pot, sprinkling the plant tone in there. And then I'll just take my fingers and kind of rake that into the soil. Now, none of these plants I've repotted since I planted them originally. I don't know if I'm going to have to. I mean, the raspberries I cut back every year and they come back, so I don't know how big their root system is going to get. Same thing with the blueberries. I'm hoping I can just keep them in these pots, but at some point they may have to size up. But for now, this process has been working well. Taking some of those leaves out there. So that one is good with the plant tone. So now I'm going to add in some compost. I think here I'm probably going to do about a 1/2 inch layer of compost. Scratch it in a little bit, but not as much. That's just kind of going to be the top layer for this plant for now. Just putting that, just kind of putting that right around the plant. I do try to stay away right from the crown of it, but again, just putting that like closer to the edges, but bringing it in a bit further than I did with the plant tone. So I think that is pretty good and pretty simple, honestly. I'll move this one back, and then we will do the other 3 plants that are out here on this side. So that was quick and easy. Again, in the raspberries, I did both the plant tone and the compost. The blueberries, because I already added the soil acidifier, I just did the compost. And then I'm also going to do my 2 rhubarb plants. And here are these 2 all ready for the new growing season. I'm back inside because springtime means that it's time for garden cleanup everywhere, and there's a lot of maintenance going on, which means a lot of noise out there, but that's all I do. Like I said, I've been doing this. I've planted most of these in 2020, so this will be the 3rd season of a lot of them coming back, and this is what I just do every year. I do still add supplemental fertilizer, especially for my rhubarb throughout the season, not so much my blueberries and raspberries unless I need soil acidifier specifically for my blueberries. But that's pretty much it. I feel like that was a super quick video. Let me know if there's anything else specifically that you add to your potted perennials or your regular perennials that maybe I might want to incorporate. I'm always learning, trying out new things. That's part of the fun of gardening, but this is kind of where I'm at so far. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.